Okay, so welcome class to this session. So we are on the topic of depreciation. So today we are going to discuss some of key definitions regarding depreciation and then the purposes of depreciation and then the methods of depreciation using the first two methods. Say we have the straight line method and the sinking fund method. By the way, there are other methods of depreciation in which we are going to tackle it later. So before anything else, let us have our learning objectives for this particular lecture. So at the end of the session, you will be able to, number one, describe the purposes of depreciation and then relate with the different methods of computing depreciation. So next, we define depreciation, and then we define the book value, define useful life of an asset, and then solve depreciation using straight line method or what we call SLM and SFM or the sinking fund method. So let me start with some of the key definitions that we need to learn here. First, depreciation is actually the decrease in the value of physical property with the passage of time. So of course, as we all know, in accounting, we need to also consider the decrease in the value of any tangible properties, okay, for many purposes, of course. So let us have now some of the key definitions. Number one, we have value. Value is the present worth of all future profits that are to be received through ownership of a particular property. So kung baga, itong value is actually a projection of what you expect to be received in the future. So that all of those values shall be considered on the present time. Okay, next. Market value. So we need a market value for a certain equipment kung gusto nyong ibenta at a certain fair value. Okay, so anyway, fair value is a different definition. Yung market value is that both parties, yung seller at yung buyer, nagkakasundo sa isang reasonable price because on their perspective, they have a corresponding equal advantage. Okay? Halimbawa, isa akong company or construction firm that needs to dispose a certain equipment like dump truck, for example. So, binenta ko at a certain amount. Okay, and then pwedeng tumawad yung buyer. Okay, kapag nagkatawaran na and then nagkasalubong sa reasonable price and yun, meron na silang deal. That value of the equipment is what we call market value. Okay. So next, we have utility or use value. So it is the owner's assessment of the property's worth as an operating unit. So from the word utility or the use, okay, so we can assess certain property so that we can give a certain amount on that equipment or property. So that is according to the use of it. So ngayon, there are also methods pertaining to a simple estimate of the use of value. Like for example, kung ilan yung kaya niyang kaya niyang i-produce. For example, equipment. A printer, for example, bago pa yung printer. Of course, mataas pa yung efficiency ng printer. Ngayon, habang naluluma yung printer, so yung efficiency ng output ng isang printing equipment, bumababa rin. So, it decreases over time. Kasi nga, yung machine is also subjected to degradation or yung what we call wear and tear. Okay? So, in that way, a utility or use value can be assessed. Okay? And take note, it is the owner's assessment. So, next, fair value. So, this is a rational and unbiased estimate of the potential market price of a property. So, by definition, ibig sabihin, reasonable yung estimate kasi nga, with respect to time, the cost of a certain equipment or property decreases. Hence, we are talking about depreciation. So, sa computation ng depreciation, dapat reasonable yung ating method. Okay, in which, in a while, we will have a glimpse on that methods. So, dun din, papasok yung tinatawag na fair value. Kasi nga, hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin na yung value niyan, bago, after 1 year, ganun pa rin yung value niya or nabawasan lang ng konting-konti. So, ang pinag-uusapan dito is there should be a reasonable method to account for the obsolescence. Ano pa? Obsolescence, wear and tear, exhaustion, etc. So, na-exhaust yan. Actually, parang kandila ang isang property, except for land or real estate properties, imbis na mag-depreciate yun, nag-appreciate. Okay? Unlike equipment and the tangible properties, except for land, nagde-depreciate. Sabi nga natin, parang kandila, habang ginagamit mo, bumababa yung kanyang value until it will reach a certain amount hanggang maging scrap value na lang yan. Okay? So, that is the fair value. So, integrated dito yung reasonable computation of whatever deductions from the original cost. Kaya nga pag bumili tayo ng sasakyan, when you experience bumibili ng sasakyan na bago nga yun, bago nga yung medyo modelo nga, pero ang next na titignan mo kung ilan na yung tinakbo ng sasakyan. Bago nga napakaraming kilometer na pala ang tinakbo. So those are the considerations of your purchase. Okay? Luma nga yung modelo ng sasakyan, pero konti lang naman yung tinakbo niya. Okay? So pwede rin na may consider yung mga ganong options or criteria. Next, book value. So book value is depreciated book value. When we say depreciated book value, the original cost was already decreased by the amount of depreciation. So you can see that in the equation in a while. So next, we have the salvage or resale value. So this is the price or value of an asset that will be realized upon its sale at the end of its useful life. So isusunod ko na rin yung scrap value, because these are related. Yung scrap value naman, sale price of the material content of a scrap. So what is the difference between the two, salvage or resale value and the scrap value? So the main difference is that yung scrap value, yung material content na lang ang tinitignan. So meaning, kung baga sa sasakyan, pwede mo ng per kilo, so wala nang value yung kanyang utility value. Okay? So unlike sa salvage value, gumagana pa naman yung sasakyan, only that it has reached its useful life. For example, bumili ka ng sasakyan 10 years ago, and then the useful life of a certain vehicle, say we can set that to 10 years. Okay? So ibig sabihin, ngayon sasagad na siya dun sa salvage value niya. Okay? Or the resale value. Ngayon, pag after 10 years, another 10 years na nakalipas, of course, lumang-luma na yung sasakyan. Although, pwede pa namang gumana, at some point, ang kinocompute na lang kung masyado nang matagal from the end of its useful life and then nag-deteriorate na ng gusto, we can consider the price of the scrap or the sale price of the scrap para mapakinabangan. Actually, yung iba nga ang ginagawa, 'di ba? Ginigiling yung metal. So, ibig sabihin, yung dating use niya could no longer be feasible. Only that ang kinukuha mo lang ay yung halimbawa metal or raw material. Okay? So, yung mga raw material out of the vehicle can be grinded to be used as a raw material for another purpose. Next, we have valuation. So, it is the process of determining the value of a certain property for specific reasons. So, very clear naman na dito obvious na kailangan nating mag-compute ng depreciation because we need to determine the value of a certain property. And ang gumagawa niyan is actually the appraiser. Appraiser is the person engaged in the task of valuation. So, let me go back to depreciation as I have said. In essence of time, okay, a certain property cost or value will decrease except for land property. So, in other words, depreciation is actually the usefulness of assets expires and the usefulness value must be recognized. So what is the purpose of depreciation kasi? So we have capital recovery una. Okay? So kailangan as time goes by you need to recover certain amount from your investment kasi later on you will be needing to replace eventually those equipment, no? So kailangan mo ng palitan. So ang purpose ng depreciation is nag-aalat tayo ng capital recovery for that physical property. Kaya nga merong tayong tinatawag na useful life So, after the useful life, yung original cost mo, magiging salvage value kasi nga, may capital recovery. So, we need to account for that kasi nga, sa accounting, kailangan balance lahat. Okay? So, hindi naman pwede na yung ide-declare mo nun as the price of that equipment is the same after 5 years or 10 years, ano? Of course, nag-decrease na because of depreciation. So another purpose is to enable the cost of depreciation to be charged to the cost of producing products or services that results from the use of property. So, yung equipment kasi ginagamit mo yan for your services or production, di ba? So, habang nagpro-produce ka, of course, ano naman yung bayad sa equipment? Right? So, hindi naman pwedeng we neglect that amount kasi you can produce out of that equipment. So, yung mga binabawas doon is depreciation. Again, this is allotment for the purpose of taking into the account the production cost through your invested equipment. So, yun lang yun. Then, the advantage is, of course, number one, tax purposes. Remember, yung binabayaran mong tax, hindi naman pa pwedeng fix yan. Halimbawa, bago lahat ng equipment mo, after 2 years, hindi naman yung value ng syempre, kailangan bumaba rin no, yung value no properties mo. So with that, of course, bababa rin yung babayaran mo tax because tax is based from your declared assets as well as liabilities. And then another advantage is that wear and tear, no? So yung nabanggit natin kanina na if we need to estimate an assessed value, kailangan na yung tinatawag nating book value is close to that of the market value. So yung market value, sinabi natin, ito yung parang pwedeng pagkasunduan ng seller at buyer. Okay? And then yung market value should emanate from a reasonable method of deducting the certain wear and tear of your property or equipment. So, another advantage is that proper matching of cost against revenue. So, very simple lang naman. Lahat ng depreciation cost is accounted. Okay? Kaya nagmamatch yung cost against revenue. Okay, so moving on to depreciation methods. By the way, sabi nga natin, paulit-ulit yung reasonable method, ano? These methods here, flash here, are actually accepted ng BIR, no? Bureau of Internal Revenue. So, ibig sabihin, these methods can be adapted in deducting the usefulness or capital recovery of a certain property or equipment. So, first, we have the straight line method or SLM, then the sinking fund method or the SFM, then the declining balance method, then the double declining balance method, the sum of the years digits method, and the service output methods. So, for us to realize what is depreciation all about, we can refer to this cash flow. So, as we can see, every year, magkakaroon tayo ng depreciation until L. Ano yung L? Useful life. Okay? So, this is the useful life. Ngayon, yung CN naman, ito yung tinatawag na book value. For example, first year or C1 is the book value of the first year. C3 is the book value of the third year. So, ibig sabihin, ang total depreciation, for example, sa total depreciation, capital letter, and then this will just be the accumulated or the cumulative depreciation from the first year up to the sixth year. So, yung book value is the original cost. By the way, itong original cost is CO. So, yung original cost, mababawasan ng D1 sa first year, ano? So, yun yung magiging book value niya. Okay? And then, halimbawa, sa number 6 tayo, or book value ng number 6. Book value ng number 6 or C6 is equal to the original cost minus capital letter D 6. Okay? So, ganun. So, the first method in which we will tackle now is the SLM or the straight line method. So, ito yung method na straight line. Ibig sabihin, constant yung depreciation all throughout the useful life. Kung 500 pesos yung depreciation niya sa first year at yung useful life niya is 10 years, so lahat ng years 500 yung depreciation niya. So constant value, hindi nagbabago. Okay? Kaya yung formula natin is yung depreciation every year, small letter D, ano, is the original cost minus yung CL na tinatawag is what we call the salvage value. Okay? Otherwise, kung hindi C sub L yan, magiging C sub N. Yung C sub N is the book value at the nth year. Okay? So again, I'll repeat. Yung CL, ito yung book value niya at the end of its useful life. Okay? Ngayon, pag hindi niya pa na-reach yung useful life niya, so it is within the range of years before it's the end of its useful life, yun yung magiging book value at the end year. Halimbawa, yung useful life niya is 15 years. So, ang book value sa 10th year is C10, no? Ang book value sa 15th year is C15, which is also equal to CL, di ba? So, that's the point there. Say N any book value prior to this is the book value. Okay? For example, C10 yan. C10. Yan yung book value sa 10th year. At yung C15, book value ng 15 pero yung kanyang useful life is the 15th year, so salvage value na yan. So hindi na bababa yung book value niya sa salvage value kasi nga sagad ng salvage value or book value yun. Yung sagad na book value is what we call salvage value. So in this case, kapag 15 years, may book value ng C10 at may book value na C15 at yung C15, yan na yung ganyang salvage value. So wala na tayong C16 dito, no? Okay? So inappropriate that we look for her for the book value that is beyond the useful life of your property. Okay? So let us move on to the sinking fund method. So the sinking fund method, we have a different approach, no? So kung kanina straight line lang tayo, pinag-minus mo yung original dun sa salvage value and then divide it by the useful life. This time, ang divisor mo is finding F given A at I% at the useful life L. Okay, take note, ang timeline na ginamit is the useful life. So, yun yung ginamit sa small letter D or the depreciation at that or the uniform depreciation. Ngayon, although uniform depreciation, it should be noted na we cannot just multiply the number of years dun sa small letter D na compute. So in this case, instead of multiplying that by n, we will multiply that by finding F given A I% at n. Okay, so kung anong nth year yun, so yun yung timeline na gagamitin dito sa accumulated depreciation at that nth year. So alam naman natin, we are very familiar with the formula of finding F given A sa annuities natin. Okay? And then, same formula sa book value. Sa book value is the book value is equal to the original cost less the total accumulated depreciation at that nth year. Okay, so let us have this first example. So by the way, sa mga example, i-specify naman yung method, specify yung method sa mga problems. So let us have this problem. An electronic balance costs 90,000 pesos and has an estimated salvage value of 8,000 pesos at the end of its 10 years lifetime. What would be the book value after 3 years using the straight line method in solving for the depreciation? So, yung 90,000, obviously, ito yung original cost. So, after 10 years, magiging 8,000 na lang yung electronic balance. And 8,000 refers to salvage value. Ang unknown dito, book value or C sub 3 or the book value at the 3rd year. So SLM yung gagamiting method. So all of those given are identified. Of course, bago natin makompute yan, una muna yung depreciation per year. Okay? So the depreciation per year is equal to 90,000 minus 8,000 divided by 10. So that is just a straight line formula. So per year, meron tayong 8,200. So we'll just multiply that 8,200 by 3 para makuha natin yung accumulated depreciation hanggang 3rd year. So that yung value na yan or the total depreciation from the 3rd year, bawas mo lang yung sa original cost, yan yung book value niya sa 3rd year or that will amount to 65,400 pesos. Okay? That's it. Very simple for the straight line method. So let us try this problem. So this time we have a purchase equipment by the Broadcasting Corporation, amounting to 53,000. Plus, meron pa siyang paid amount for freight and delivery charges na 1,500 pesos. So, yung useful life niya is 10 years. Yung trade-in value is 5,000. Trade-in value just simply refers to salvage value. Okay. So, we determine the annual depreciation by SLM or straight line method, and then determine the annual depreciation cost by the sinking fund method. So, assume an interest of 6.5% compounded annually for SFM. So, straight line method, we do not need the rate of interest, So, ang original cost, i-add natin yung gastos natin sa freight and delivery services. Kaya, yung original cost, hindi lang presyo yan ng equipment, yung presyo ng equipment, but also included dapat yung installation cost, yung mga maintenance cost, yung mga delivery cost, kung may training pa, pwedeng idagdag yun for the initial cost or the original cost. You should account for that. And then, yun, salvage value, 5,000 na lang yan after 10 years. So, napakadali lang computein, straight line method. Letter A, we have 54,500 minus 5,000 divided by 10. So, magkakaroon tayo ng depreciation cost of 4,950 pesos. And then, with regards to depreciation using sinking fund method, mag-iba lang yung denominator mo. So, yung denominator mo is the notation of finding F given A at the rate of interest at the L year or the useful life. So, from that, we will have 3,668.18. So, dito nagkataon lang na mas mababa yung depreciation ng sinking fund method. Kasi nga, hindi naman lahat ng case ganito, laging mas mataas yung straight line method. But, it will be dependent on the rate of interest. Kasi, rate of interest is integrated in the formula. Okay? So, another example. Say a firm bought an equipment for 56,000 pesos. Other expenses including installation amounted to 4,000 pesos. The equipment is expected to have a life of 16 years with a salvage value of 10% of the original cost at the end of 12 years. Determine the book value by SLM and SFM. Okay. So here, 16 years is the L, Yung 12 years is before na ma-reach niya yung useful life. So, may book value pa rin dyan sa 12th year. Or, actually, yun yung unknown, yung C sub 12. So, again, we determine the original cost by also adding yung installation cost na 4,000. So, 56 plus 4,000, 56,000 plus 4,000, that is 60,000. At yung salvage value niya, according to the problem, is 10% of the original cost. And the original cost happened to be 60,000. So, 10% of that is 6,000. Okay? So, the useful life is 16 years. So, by the formula, we will have a depreciation yearly of 3,375 pesos. Ngayon, if we are concerned with the 12 or the book value of the 12 year, we'll just multiply that uniform depreciation per year ng 12. So, mag-accumulate siya ng 4,500. And take note, yung principle na yan, na i-multiply mo lang yung number of years sa year depreciation, is straight line. Kaya nga straight line eh. Pare-parehas yung depreciation. So, it is no longer applicable to the sinking fund method. By and by, no? So, yun. Yung book value at the 12 year, ibawas mo lang yung accumulated depreciation. So, 60,000 minus 40,500, we have 19,500. Remember, class, ang pinakasagad na book value is yung book value niya sa useful life. In this case, yung pinakasagad, C16. Kaya pag kinumpit mo yung C16 dito, it will just yield to the salvage value. Okay? It will just yield to the salvage value na 6,000. So, hindi na siya pwedeng bababa sa 6,000. And then, for letter B, this time we use the sinking fund method. So, ibahin mo lang yung denominator mo using the notation of finding F given A, 12%, 16. Okay, so that is a divisor of 1.12 raised to 16 minus 1 all over 0.12. So, kung mapapansin mo, sa pag-complete ng small letter D, useful life ang ginamit na taon. Okay, or that time of 16 years, or that is referring to the useful life. While dun sa pag-compute naman ng capital letter D, or the accumulated depreciation on the 12th year, is that 12 yung ginamit, hindi 16. Okay? So, take note of that. So that, yung na-compute mo na depreciation, just multiply that by that factor, finding F given A, 12%, and then 12. Okay? So, we'll be having 30,481.6 pesos for the accumulated depreciation at the 12th year. So, bawas mo lang yan sa original cost. Yun na yung book value sa 12 year. Okay? So, that's it for this problem. So, moving on to another problem, we have a construction firm purchased 8 years ago a drilling machine for 90,000 pesos. A straight line depreciation reserve had been provided based on a 15-year life of the machine. The owner of the machine shop desires to replace the old milling machine with a modern unit having many advantages, costing 165,000 pesos. It can sell the old unit for 20,000 pesos. How much new capital will be required for the purchase? So, dito ang ating original cost is 90,000 pesos. So, magkakaroon tayong capital recovery kasi nga nagre-reserve tayo a certain amount per year, wherein we consider that L, the useful life is equal to 15 years. The owner of the machine shop desires to replace. So, papalitan niya yun. Ang new price of this milling, new price of the new equipment is equal to 165,000 pesos. So, magkano kailangan capital para makabili ka ng bagong mill machine? Okay? So, ang gagawin mo dito, of course, we compute the depreciation kasi nga, yung depreciation parang yun yung replacement cost or nagre-reserve tayo ng funding para mapilitan yung ating old milling machine. So, basically, that is just equal to 90,000. Wala namang salvage value na nakalagay. So, that is 0 divided by 15. Okay? So, that would be equal to. So, it should be that there should be a specified year here will be required for the purchase at the end of the 8th year. So, ito yung depreciation reserve, no? Pag sinabing reserve, magagamit mo pa ulit para bumili ng bagong equipment. So, this is per year basis. Ngayon, kapag na-accumulate yan hanggang 8th year, at the end of the 8th year, magkano kakailanganin mong capital? Of course, i-consider mo yung ma-accumulate na depreciation for 8 years. So, this is D times N, ano? D times N. So, that is equal to 48,000. So, ngayon, mabibenta mo pa yan ng yung dating equipment mo, makakabenta pa, mabibili pa ng 20,000 pesos. So, you can see that the total available capital at the 8th year will be equal to, ito na-accumulate, ano? 48,000 tapos yung pinagbentahan mo na 20,000 pesos. So, yung available amount 68,000 pesos. Okay. So, pagbili mo ng bago, say, new capital required is equal to yung price ng bago, which is 165,000, i-minus mo itong na-accumulate na or available capital. So, therefore, this shall be equal to 97,000 pesos. So, this is the answer for the first problem. So, we have the same problem. Ito, second unknown or another question from the same scenario. What is the book value at the end of the 8th year? So, ito yung na-accumulate na book value or C8. Tama ba? So, C8 is the original cost minus the accumulated depreciation at the 8th year. So, CO, original cost is 90,000 minus the 8 na na-compute kanina is 48,000. So, therefore, we have book value of 42,000 pesos. So, from the choices, meron naman 42,000 pesos. Okay, moving on to the next question. We have how it can sell the old unit for what is the total depreciation reserve after 8 years. Okay. So, ito yung D8 lang naman yan, di ba? At na-compute na natin yung D8, which is equal to 6,000 times 8. That is equal to 48,000 pesos. Okay. So, this will be the answer. Okay, so let's try another problem. Okay. So, a bulldozer equipment costs 3.5 million pesos, has a useful life of 10 years, with a salvage value of 680,000 pesos. Determine the yearly depreciation of the equipment. So, simple lang. D is equal to 3.5 million minus 680 or 0.68 all over 10. So, that will be equal to 0.282 million pesos, or this will equate to 282,000 pesos. Ayan. Okay. So, another unknown here is the same problem to, no? If the book value at the end of the nth year is equal to 0.48 of its original cost. Ano ba yung original cost? Say, ano to? CN. We do not know yet. N. Bali 48% of 3.5 million. So, yung 0.48 ng 3.5 would equate to 1.68 million pesos. So, ito na yung working given natin. But, we do not know yet N, ano? We do not know yet N. So, ang gagamitin, formula, is Cn is equal to the original cost minus the accumulated depreciation at that nth year. Pero ito, we can write this as D, small letter D, times N. So, aning Cn? we have 1.68, and then we have the original cost of 3.5 million minus yung depreciation na computed kanina is 282,000 or 0.282 times n. So we compute n here. So n will be equal to 6.45 years. Okay, that's it. Okay, so moving on to the next problem, we have the crane equipment was purchased for 8 million pesos with unknown salvage value at the end of the useful life of 25 years. If the book value at the end of 10 years is computed to be 5,944,400 pesos, what is the total depreciation at the year using the sinking fund method? So when dealing with SFM, laging may given niyang I at ang dapat tandaan, we should write yung useful life at yung kailangang end year, no? So in this case, 25 years yung L niya at yung N niya is 10 years. So ang unknown dito is D what? Total depreciation at that year, or D10. Okay? So the formula D10, ang general formula natin is D multiplied by this notation. Find the F given A 5%. I-highlight ko lang, ibahin ko lang yung color, no? Ang gagamitin dito is N. Okay? N. So, of course, the prerequisite of this formula, yung small letter D. So, the small letter D can be computed as parehas lang ng straight line method, only that ito mag-iiba lang yung divisor mo. Finding F given A at 5%. Again, gare-read ko to. Gagamitin dito is L. Okay? So, ito muna ang unahin natin because this is a prerequisite variable for that D sub 10. So, we have 8 million minus salvage value. So, the salvage value is unknown. Okay. And then, we divide that by this notation, that is 1 plus I is 0.05 raised to N or L. Yung L natin is 25 minus 1 all over 0.05. So, ito yung depreciation. So, ano pang unknown natin ay given natin. By the way, as of the moment, ito, wala pa tayong makukuha dyan. Okay, because there are two unknowns. So, ngayon, ang book value ng equipment at the 10th year, C10 is equal to 5,944,000 400 pesos. We know that CN is equal to original cost minus the accumulated depreciation, TN. Okay. So what can we get here? So C10 tayo, no? We have 5,944, 5,944,400 is equal to the original cost is 8 million less D10. Okay. Hence, we can write ito dito, no? D10 can be written as small letter d times this notation. And of course, yung n dito is 10. Ang I dito is 0.05. At yung dito, d dito is ito. Okay? And isa-isay nating substitute. We have this amount for 400. Perhaps we can transpose 8 million dito is equal to we have 8 million minus unknown 1.05 is 25 minus 1 all over 0.05. Okay. Ito yon D dito. D. Tapos this is 1.05 raised to 10 minus 1 all over 0.05. Okay. So, makukuha natin yung CL dito. But before that, we simplify the values here and place it in the equation. So, ito is 47.73 at ito is 12.58. So, 12.58 divided by this 47.73, that will have a factor of 0.263. So, 0.263 times 8 million minus CL. Ito negative 8 million minus 5,944,400. We have 2,055,600. So all we need is CL. Of course, we're going to distribute this. So 0.263 times 8 million. We have 2,104,000. So minus 0.263 of the salvage value. So, Okay. Oh, I think we need to correct some things here. Ayun. So this expression to is equal to, tama naman, 47.73, and then ayun. So ito minus. So hindi ko lang na-carry yan. We just carry that one na dapat ito is negative and that is negative. So therefore, this should be negative and that is a positive value. So that pag transpose niya yan to 104 minus 2,055,600, that is equivalent to 48,400. Okay, so is equal to 0.263 of the salvage value. So we'll be having a salvage value of perhaps in here we can mind to get our accuracy. For accuracy, we have these values supposedly, ano, pwede nating i-direct sa calculator yan. Hence, nagulang tayo ng rounding up to the third decimal places. Say this is 0.264. Okay. So 0.264 times 8 million. Ito dapat is 2,112,000. Okay. We further transpose this one to the other side. So magde-deduct lang yan, or we get the difference between this one and this one. So we have 56,400. Okay. At ito 0.264. So 56,400 divided by 0.264 is, we have 213,636.36. So this is the salvage value, but the unknown here, class, is total depreciation at that year. So total depreciation daw ng D10. Okay? So meron na tayong equation dyan, ito. Okay? So knowing now the salvage value, we can now go back to this formula and then sulat natin 8 million minus 213636. 0.36. Ito yung D. Pero dapat di-divide pa natin yan ng to. So this value is 47.73. Okay. So further, multiply natin to ng notation na to. F given A, I% at N. So, kanina, na-compute yan to be 12.58. Yan. 12.58. Therefore, D10 is equal to, we have 2,052,219.87. So we get the nearest answer here. Ito. So this is because of the rounding of numbers. So at any rate, this is the answer for this problem. Next. So we have the same problem but different question. What is the salvage value of the equipment assuming sinking fund of depreciation? Okay? Salvage value. Ito yung unang nakuha natin kanina. Salvage value is this one, 213,636.36. To. This is the nearest answer. So that's it for this problem. So moving on to another one. Say this problem. A printing machine equipment was purchased at a cost of 20,000 pesos. We have a salvage value here, 1,000 pesos. The useful life is 10 years. And then the rate of interest is 3%. What is the total depreciation at the 6th year using the sinking fund method? So, depreciation at the 6 years, D6. So, formula natin, D times finding F given A at 3%. Ano ilalagay dito? Is N, no? Or that is 6. So, lagyan natin ng N yan, ano? N ang gagamitin dito. So, again, prerequisite yung D. So, yung D is equal to CU minus CL. Finding F given A, 3%. Ilalagay naman dito is the useful life of 10. So, lagyan natin ng red mark, L, para lagi nating tandaan na magkaiba yung timeline ng mga yan. Okay. So, we substitute. CO is 20,000 minus 1000 all over 1.03 raised to 10 minus 1 all over 0.03. We have 1,657.38 pesos. So this is the depreciation. Now for D6, balik tayo dito. D6 is equal to 1657.38. Yung formula natin is 1.03 raised to 6 minus 1 all over 0.03. So D6 will be equal to 10,720.61 pesos. So this is the answer. Okay. So next, we have the same problem. But different question. We have depreciation naman during the 7th year. So all we need is this D7 times this notation. Anyway, nakuha naman natin yung small letter D, that is 1,657.38. So we apply the formula 1.03 raised to 7 minus 1 all over 0.03. So D7 shall be equal to 12,699.61 pesos. Okay, so I think we are done with the examples regarding the straight line method and the sinking fund method. So with this, I hope you try exercises for the method, and next meeting we will discuss the other methods aside from the two methods that was discussed today. So thank you for listening and have a good day.